Blue pages are public service announcements that provide information on services and happenings in the local area. They'll each air for a 7-day period, and then the blue page will be killed. Stations are required to submit 5 blue pages for each week for airing. If the information is needed to air for an additional week, the blue page can be resubmitted as part of the weekly 5, but the start and kill dates need to be updated in the slates. To make this process simpler, we've created a blue page template that you can find on the FTP server. If you look in the To AFNE folder on the AFNE FTP server, you'll find the Blue Pages template folder. Inside is everything you're going to need to make a blue page. All you need to do is copy that to your local drive. It'll go on your media drive in the projects folder, so you can just copy that across. If you go to your local media drive on your computer, you'll see within the projects folder, you now have a blue page template folder. Inside of here is everything you're going to need, the most important of which is the Blue Pages template. Double-click that to load Premiere. Once you get into Premiere, you'll see that we've set up for you in the project panel down here 3 different bins. One for sequences, one for graphics, and one for the station backgrounds. Now, you won't be using the graphics or station backgrounds bins, but they're there with all the elements that were required to make the sequence. Inside the sequences bin, you'll find a sequence here for each station, all set up for you. In our example, we're going to use Spangalum, so I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of that. I'll go under Edit and say Copy It, and I'm going to twirl this up, close that sequences bin, and then select anywhere outside, go back to Edit and say Paste. And you'll notice it made me a sequence outside of the sequences folder. This is just a little bit of housekeeping to keep everything intact where you need it. Now we have this sequence ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and double click on the icon and load up the sequence here in the timeline. You'll see the sequence is made up of several parts. We've got a slate at the beginning. We've got some black, a background, the actual blue page itself, and then some black at the end. Everything you need for this sequence is ready-made for you. All you're going to need to do is make a few changes. The first thing you're going to do is edit the slate. So we're going to go ahead to the slate, and I'm going to click on it. Notice it turns white down here. And then I'm going to go up to my panel in the upper left-hand corner. Right now, I'm in the Effects Control. If you're not, go ahead and select Effects Control, and you're going to see two different tabs up here. Where you're at, the colored blue one is the actual clip, but you're going to go over and click on the Master. The Master will bring up all the information contained in the actual slate, and all you have to do is make the appropriate changes. So for instance, we'll change the station name to Spangalum, hit enter, and you'll notice on the right hand side it's updated for you already. We'll go ahead and put our rank and name in here. Now, the client or agency is dependent on who is the product for. In many cases, it's already in the text of the blue page. But for this one, we're going to we'll just call it Tops in Blue. So we're going to go ahead and put the headline in here, Tops in Blue perform on Spangalum. Now, the date sent will be the actual day of the week that you're or the date that you're going to send this up. The runtime is always 15 seconds. We can just go ahead and fix that now. And that's the actual length of the blue page itself. Now, the start date. This is really important. The start date is going to be 3 days from when you send it up. That's the day it's going to start airing. And then the kill date is going to be 7 days. All blue pages will now air for 7 days. So we'll kill this on the 19th of September, 2015. Okay, so now it's all set up for us to go ahead and put in our information. You'll notice all the changes we put in here are reflected in the slate. The next piece of business we need to fix is we need to type the actual blue page. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select the blue page text, which is right here. And similar thing, I'm going to go up to Effect Controls, switch over to the Master tab, and you'll notice here I have the headline, 2 subject lines, and a contact line. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put in our information. Now, hopefully you have typed this up in Microsoft Word and you can copy and paste. By doing that, you're actually going to not only save yourself a little bit of time and trouble, but you're going to probably keep yourself from making spelling errors, since Microsoft Word will spot any spelling errors and let you know. You could simply copy it from Word and paste it in. So we're going to go ahead and put in all of our information now. Okay, after we paste in our headline, there's a couple things you'll notice. First of all, even if we put small letters in here, it's going to force everything to all caps because that's our headline. You'll also notice that there's no way to adjust if we type too much. You're going to be limited to a certain number of characters and you're going to have to make it fit. Headlines can only be the one line. So perhaps instead of perform at Spangalum, it already says Spangalum above, maybe we'll say performance. Hit enter, and now we can see it fits just fine. Now we'll go ahead and copy and paste in the remainder of our information, which will be the subject line and any contact information that we have. At this point, all we need to do is voice the script that we've written for it and drop it in. So we've already recorded that for you, but I'm going to go ahead and import that in. So I can double click down here or hit Control I, and it is in my narration folder. There's my Thompson Blue narration. And I can take that and simply drag this in here. Now I'm going to expand this up just a little bit because it's got to fit for time. And I'll do a little quick trimming here. And now I can make my adjustment. And I'll probably have to adjust the audio level. So let's see how this works now. Okay, pretty simple. I'm just going to make a slight adjustment here. I'm going to bring down the audio level. And this is easier if we have a little more room to work with. So I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. I think the audio sounded just a little bit too loud. We should be shooting for about a -12 average. So let's listen to it again. All right. At this point, our blue page is done and we're ready to export it. If this was the only blue page we were doing, we would basically be done. But since you're doing 5 a week, we're going to need to do this for more of them. Now, there's a little trick to it, but it's not hard. First thing I want to do, though, is I want to properly identify this sequence, name it properly. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it and going to use the naming convention that we've seen before. So year, month, and date. And then we're going to put our station 3-letter designation, in this case Spang, and then we're just going to put BP01 for our first blue page. So this is ready to go. When we export it, it's going to have this. You're going to use the same kind of name designation every time, updating the date and, of course, the BP number. Now, we're going to be sending more than one. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to duplicate this sequence. We're going to need to duplicate it 4 times. You can just right-click and hit duplicate. You'll notice it gives it a name of copy 1. We can just change that to 2. And then we're good to go. I'm going to open up this sequence here. And you'll see across the top, this is 2 different ones. So this is 02. Now, what I need to do is I need to make my changes. So if I go in here and let's say I make the change. I highlight it, turns white, go to my effect controls, master. So as before, I'm going to change my headline this time to, let's say, commissary sale. Hit enter. And we've updated the headline here. The problem is, if we go back to our previous one, it too has changed the headline, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that, and I'm going to show you the proper way to do it. So I'm going to go back to my blue page 2, and we're going to do something very simple. Just to make it a little easier for you to see, I'm going to zoom in here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to select this clip, and then I'm going to hold down the Alt key and drag it up. What it does, you'll notice it says now slate info copy 04 or 01 or whatever the one is. And then I'm going to take that same one I just did, click it, and drag it right back down in the position that it was. Now what I've done is I've made a copy of that slate. It's no longer the original slate that I messed with. So now if I come in here and go to my master and change, let's just change Thompson Blue to commissary. You'll notice it updates here in the client, and if I go back to the original one, it still says Thompson Blue. So it's a very simple process. You're going to basically make a copy of it by alt-dragging it up, and then drag it right back down to where it was. We're going to do the same thing with the, let me zoom out just a little bit here so you can see the whole thing, with our blue page text. So I'm going to select the text, and if you remember, the blue page text is this part here, and I'm simply going to hold the Alt key down, drag it up to make the copy, and then let go of the Alt key and just drag it straight back down, right over the top. It still has all of the animation. It still has the fade at the end. Everything's good to go, except now when I select it and make my change under the master here, I can actually make the changes that won't affect the others. So here we see commissary sale, and now if I switch to my Spangalum one from before, it still says Thompson Blue. So very simple process. It's all you need to do. Alt drag to the above it, let go of the Alt key, let go of the mouse key, and drag it right back down over the top of the other one. Just be sure to put it exactly over the top. You don't want to have any extra frames left in the front or the back. Okay, then all that's left to do is export. You can just select the clip that you want to export. In this case, we'll do the first timeline, and we will use our Control M to export. You can also do this by going under File and say Export Media. When this loads up, you will switch to the appropriate preset. Now, the preset is an 8.264, and it's called AFN DMA Production. If you don't have that preset for any reason, we've provided it for you in the file. You can simply go over to this icon here that says Import Preset, and you would navigate to your project, media folder, projects. You'll go to that blue pages template, and you'll see right in here is the AFN DMA Production preset. You can import it, and it'll show up in here now as your preset. You still need to change the output destination. You're going to go to your blue page template on your media drive, and you're going to drop this into your desktop, okay? Your desktop folder. The name is already set, and you can just save it. Once that's ready to go, you can either hit Q and do them all after the fact, or hit export, and it doesn't take but a few seconds. Once it's done, you're all set to go. You can go ahead and duplicate 02 and make your 03, 04, 05, following the same procedures to alt drag to a higher track, let go, and then drag it down over the top, and then make your edits. Pretty simple process. Once everything has been exported out, you'll just FTP those out as you normally would to the 2AFNE folder from within FileZilla. If you have any questions, go ahead and contact either the traffic section or operations, and we'll walk you through the process.